Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Strong and this is my Milestone 7 video into my coal mine escape racing game. Today we'll be talking about the stuff that I completed this time. So the tasks that I had set for myself: game save, game music, wall colliders, and leaderboard. So I had some issues this week going into working on the leaderboard and getting it to function properly, which is why you see that it is partially complete. Initially, what my plan to do was going to be to have times shown to show, best times achieved. I found after much trial and error that it was much easier instead for me to worry more about having a score show up instead. And I'll kind of go over that. The reason it's partially completed is because a few things aren't finalized on it yet. I'm still working towards, but that's something I'll show you in game. Wall colliders I put down as complete. I added quite a few wall colliders to the game to try and help with some of the players going off the track or riding up walls that they shouldn't at certain points. It might still need a little bit of testing to show full proper functionality. Game music, I added some more game music to it to give the player something to listen to while they're playing. Since it's currently one track, it's going to be one song that's on a loop. It's a decent amount of time for that song, so it works out pretty well. And then the game save I did not get to due to the fact that I was having issues with the leaderboards, but I have done a little bit of research into it. And let me see if I can pull this down. There we go. I found this article here talking about leaderboards and saving data under Unity Gems. So this is something I'm going to reference to try and get my save to work as well. It goes over many different methods, such as using a static or using storing on a living object, player prefs. So I'm going to look into each one of those. Just a few minor things that I read from this. Using static, unfortunately, will not work out because what will happen is once you close the game out and exit the application, it will no longer save that data. The data will go away once the instance of the game is completely gone away or killed. So if you start it back up again, it'll be as if it was all brand new. Right now I'm looking at possibly doing the player prefs because that seems to be the best option. But again, this is something I'm still looking into and hope to have done very early next week. And so those are those things. So what we'll do first is I will briefly discuss the barricades or the colliders that I set up. So I added a couple here. So overall, where's my wall colliders? Right there. So overall I have a few wall colliders over around this side, and then I came around to this side and added some more in this area. These were the areas that I saw people have the most issues with when they were playing the game. So that's where I kind of threw the wall colliders, and I also threw a couple down here because there are a couple people having some issues down in this area as well. This is the area that you get to where it's just before that nice big jump that you have to jump over the objects that are on fire. So I added those. Those seem to mesh out pretty well, and that's kind of what I'm going for currently. So the game music is right here. It's currently just a single audio track, like I said, and it's set to play on awake and loop, so it'll constantly play while you're in this track racing, unless you pause the game, and at which time it'll pause the music as well and such. So next thing I did was the endpoint. I kind of changed the endpoint script a little bit because I used to have it go automatically to the credits scene. Well, that's not really viable. I was going to set up a separate scene and have a leaderboard, but I felt that instead it would be smarter just to have a canvas pop up, pause the game, pause the music, have a canvas pop up and show to the player their their standing or how many points they got, how far they got. So what I currently have set up is in this scripting here. If I go to, it's on the other one. Alright, if I go to here, load next scene. So what it does is I've got this public canvas score canvas, which in Unity is this right here, this game object. I placed it onto here, and it's down here, this object here. So if I click on it, you can see it there. So I have that. And then I say on my start that the score canvas.enabled is false because we don't want it to show up automatically when the player starts the scene or when the scene starts. So it's set to false. Then I set up my own function here, just called it highScoreCanvas and enabled it to true. So I have this onTrigger enter here, which is just saying that if the player enters this trigger, then time is going to be set to 0, which is going to pause any movement in the game. It's going to pause the time. And then audio listener.pause will equal true, which will pause all sound in the game. And it will call this high score canvas right here, which is, again, this function here. It'll set that to true, which will then turn on that canvas. It'll enable it. Once that's enabled, it will, I have to go down here. It'll pop up that screen right there in front of the player. So right now it's a little backwards because of the way I'm facing. So let me zoom. There we go. So it'll pop that up, and you'll see first, second, third, fourth through 10th place, and then it's got the high scores set up. So what is currently going on with this is I'm working on figuring out how to get the scores to function properly. So I have a script attached to it called ScoreTime CS. This is what I named it. And the current is set to 0. And then I have my endpoint object attached to it, and nothing in the score text, and I'll go over that in a few. And then I added this array here. This is something I'm still fooling around with. I don't think this is the way I'm wanting to go. I think I may need to do something else, but that's kind of where I started. So going into the ScoreTime CS, that's this script here. So what I have here is my public integer of score, and then I have a private float race time that's currently set to 0.0f, and then my bool of race complete equaling false. And then I added the array here, the game object array, high scores, and then I'm referencing with this one the load next scene script right here. And then my text of score text. Now, in the start, I'm saying that my score automatically equals 1,000. I'm doing this for a reason. The reason being, nobody's going to be able to have a score of 1,000 points in the game because of how it's set up. So I give a score of 1,000 to try and help people see how close they can get to that score. And then the score text equals component text as text. This is what helps to get the actual text to show up on the screen. And then currently saying score text.text equals 0, which is why you see the zeros on the screen in Unity right here. Next I have, these are for the array, for int I equals 0 if I is less than highscore.length I++. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to get this to work. I don't believe I did this correct, so I'm still working on it, which is why, again, I said that it's partial complete. And then we go down to the update. This is where the biggest kind of stuff happens. So if my load next scene script score canvas.enabled is equal to true, so if this here is true and the high score canvas is actually enabled, then race complete equals true. Now I say if race complete is not equal to true, then I'm going to say, okay, race time plus equals delta time. That's just going to keep track of the time as it's going while the game is running, while the player is actually playing the track. Now, I come down here and say, now, else if the race complete is equal to true, so if this has been run, it says it's true, then I'm going to take the score minus the race time integer, and I'm also going to take the race time minus the race time to zero it out, and I'm going to say my score text.text is equal to my score, whatever this ends up being when you subtract it from the score, with the score currently being 1000 up here. So it works out really well. The only drawback right now is that it currently changes every single one of these. And the reason for that is because I have this exact script attached to each one of these time slots here. So that's where I have to figure out how to properly get it to do the array like I want and show the score kind of like I want. So I'll do a quick run through on here just to show kind of how it works and how it functions, and then the next video will be of the same thing being run on a device. I still have to upload it to the device, so it'll take a little bit of time. But here's the player. I got the audio muted because it gets really loud currently. My speakers are a little loud on my screen, so go through here. Like I said, I have wall colliders set up, so it kind of helps a little bit with climbing. There's a few areas I might need to add a couple more, but there's a couple that I wanted them to be able to climb. Like this little area here, I'm fine with them being able to bump over that a little bit. But you see the timer up here. It's gradually incrementing like it's been doing, so that's still functioning properly. We go through the race, and I basically just have to get to the end so I can show you the last part. Probably should have just placed the bike near the end to make it easier, but why would I make things easy on myself? So go through here, continue on, and that's kind of the last area right around just before that jump where those wall colliders were set up that I added. Again, I don't really remember having too many issues with other players going through those ones, so I didn't add any more currently. I did work on a method for trying to indicate to the player if they got turned around, and some of the stuff that I was dealing with, it wasn't really working the way I wanted it to. I actually went as far as to just add a blank plane, or a plane, and having a text on it that just says wrong way. But, oh, I wrecked. Of course I did. And I'm going to have to wreck again. Oh, come on. I don't want to do this again. Alright, well, minute 46 seconds, and I managed to fail because I got stuck. But it's good that I caught it here because it's something that I could fix now. So, again, go through this real quick because I need to show you the time thing working. I did adjust the last, since the last time I made a video, the speed, how the braking works. It actually, it's significantly faster braking than was before. So you almost slow to a complete stop really, really quickly compared to, I guess, what you would normally do on a normal bike. And that was based off of a good recommendation from one of my instructors, and I looked into it, and I kind of felt that, yeah, that's probably the right way to go, because there's just a couple areas where you can't get as tight of a turn as you may want, so being able to slow down much faster actually benefits a lot better for the player. So let me continue. Hopefully I won't have as many problems this time going around. I made that bridge complicated for a reason, but I need to fix, obviously, a small area where the player kind of get stuck. It's just a quick smoothing of the terrain in that one spot. So hopefully that's the only spot that has the issue. There we go, we're past it this time. Alright, so going around again, like I said, I don't have any other wall colliders around here. I mean, I might be able to put one or two around this area, but I don't really think it was needed, because by the time you get to this point, hopefully you're being a little bit more cautious and you kind of know a little bit more of what you're doing while you're racing, so you don't have to really utilize those as much. So we come to the end, and boom, it pops up. And what it does, like I said, it takes the time that you had and it subtracts it from the high score. So I got or from the current score, and so I got a score of 880. So technically what it should do is these should all be 0 and this should just be 880. And then the next time I play, say I get 890, this would move down to second and 890 would be up here. That's something that I'm still working on, and I hope to have fixed early next week so I can work on my next few tasks, which I'll go over in just a moment. But this continue button functions. It takes you right back to the credit scene. And then main menu to... Oh, I have to add something to that. But, yeah. Wait, stop. Okay, there we go. I have to do a minor fix because there was something I changed. But, yeah. So, that's another continuation of the game. It's coming along nicely and kind of smoothly. Aside from those few minor hiccups that I had. As you can see, I did add some different types of trees. I don't remember if those were in the last video. They're not really the type of trees that I wanted, but after the issues I had with using the real trees, I found that these actually work really smoothly on the device. So for my next milestone, aside from adding these two over and getting those complete, milestone 8, I kept it kind of light just in case I had issues, and obviously I do. So complete the credit scene. This one I need to go through and make sure I have everything referenced properly and just everything is running smoothly with it. And then the main menu. Right now the main menu is kind of basic. It doesn't look all that hot right now, so I want to give it some more flair and jazz and make it look really interesting to the player. And then for milestone 9, which is a little bit later, this one I also really only gave myself one task because I want to leave it open for testing and making sure everything functions the way it's supposed to. And if there's any problems with anything from the prior week, then I can add that to this. But trying to get a game icon that will really point the player to the game and let them know, yep, that's that game. Kind of like you see from some of the other games out there like Candy Crush and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and like I said, part 2 will be up as well sometime today. I just have to get the build going and get that working. So have a good one.